All right, today we're going to crack open a mental model straight from the CIA's playbook. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a technique they use for super high-stakes intelligence missions, but what's wild is that it might just be the secret weapon you need for making way smarter decisions in your own life.
You know, from the time we're kids, we hear the same thing over and over. Trust your gut. Follow your intuition, right? But what if I told you that might be some of the worst advice you've ever gotten? Because in a high-stakes world, that gut feeling can be a massive liability. A lot of the time, it's not some magical sixth sense. It's just a cocktail of your own fears, your biases, and a little bit of wishful thinking. So if you can't trust your gut, what can you trust?
So, let's get one thing straight. This isn't about the Hollywood version of spying. You know, the fast cars, the exploding pens. Nope. The single most powerful weapon any spy has is their mind. Real spycraft is all about a super rigorous mental discipline. It's a whole framework for seeing the world as it actually is, by stripping away all the noise to get to the cold, hard truth.
And to really get this, we're going to learn from someone who actually lived and breathed this stuff. His name is Andrew Bustamante. This guy was a former covert CIA intelligence officer. For him, making a decision based on emotion wasn't just a bad idea, it could get people killed. His entire training was built around one thing, learning how to override that very human, very natural impulse to just go with the flow.
And here's where we see the real clash, right? On one hand, you've got your normal intuition. Think of it like a wildfire. It's fast, it's hot, it's emotional, and it jumps all over the place based on whatever biases you happen to have. But then you've got the spy's mindset, and that is like a surgeon's scalpel. It's slow on purpose, it's incredibly precise, totally detached, and it only cares about what's real and what can be proven. That's the huge difference between just reacting to stuff and actually analyzing it. Okay, so how do we actually build this kind of analytical mindset? Well, it all starts with one core tool, the foundation of everything. It's called the objective mind. And if you can master this one thing, everything else will start to fall into place.
Now, this sounds really simple on the surface, but trust me, it's a massive mental shift. Objective thinking is just the discipline of separating what you feel is true from what you can actually prove is true. Let's say you feel like a coworker is trying to undermine you. Okay, that's a feeling, but what are the facts? Can you point to specific emails? Are there documented actions? Were there conversations that other people witnessed? See, it's all about drawing a big, thick line in the sand between the story you're telling yourself inside your head and what's actually happening in reality.
And the way you do it is just brilliantly simple. It's a three-step process. Step 1, you identify your emotional reaction. You don't judge it, you don't fight it, you just name it. Okay, I am feeling really anxious about this presentation. Step 2, you isolate the provable facts. Literally put them in a separate box in your mind. The presentation is 10 minutes, I've got 15 slides, the audience is just the marketing team. And finally, step 3, you make your decision based only on that list of facts. The emotion gets acknowledged, sure, but it doesn't get a vote in the final decision.
So once you start getting a handle on your own mind, the next level up is understanding what's going on in other people's minds. And in the world of espionage, this all comes down to uncovering what they call the secret life. This is the absolute key to being able to predict and even influence how people behave.
Just think about it for a second. What really truly motivates the people around you? I mean, your boss, your partner, your clients. We talk to people all day long, but do we have any idea what's really driving them? What are those hidden forces pulling the strings on their decisions, the stuff they would never, ever say out loud?
Well, here's the big, game-changing insight from the world of spying. Every single person has a secret life. And no, we're not talking about anything scandalous like secret affairs or crimes. Think of it more like their own private internal operating system. It's that unique mix of their deepest desires, their biggest fears, and their core beliefs. And here's the kicker. At the end of the day, a person's actions will always line up with protecting that secret life.
You can basically break this secret life down into 4 main parts. Think of them like the 4 big levers that control human motivation. First, you've got their core ideology. That's what they fundamentally believe about the world. Then, their unmet desires. That's the stuff they're constantly chasing after. Third, their deep-seated fears, the things they're always running away from. And finally, their personal priorities, what truly matters to them, the thing they'd sacrifice everything else for. If you can figure out those 4 things about someone, you can almost predict what they're going to do next.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is cool. But it sounds like something for James Bond, not for me. But really, these are just fundamental human skills. This isn't just for spies operating in some foreign country. So let's bring this all back down to earth. Let's talk about how this stuff applies to your world, to your everyday life. All right, let's look at some real-world examples. Take objective thinking. At the office, that means when your boss gives you critical feedback, you can actually hear it without getting all defensive because you're just focused on the facts of your performance. In your personal life, it's what helps you buy a car based on reliability and your budget instead of just falling for a cool color. And what about uncovering the secret life? Well, that's your superpower in a salary negotiation. When you understand that your boss's real priority is making their department look good, you can frame your request in a way that helps them do that. And in relationships, it's how you go deeper, by understanding what your partner is truly afraid of or what they secretly desire underneath it all.
And look, this is a really important point. The goal of all this is not to become some master manipulator. Not at all. It's about developing a superior understanding. It's about getting to a level of perception that lets you see the world and all the people in it with this incredible, almost stunning clarity.
So I'll leave you with this question. We all know your next big decision is just around the corner. And when that moment comes, what are you going to do? Are you going to fall back on that familiar, easy, and totally biased feeling in your gut? Or are you going to use the clear, deliberate power of a trained, objective mind? The choice, as always, is yours.